So, as Nietzsche once said, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed.
This is a Reader's Digest version containing many of the interesting parts of the Flat Earth theory. For those who have already started seeing things with new eyes, it will be mostly a recap, but there could be a few new angles you haven't looked at. For the rest of you who are new to this, the first question is invariably, is this a joke? Because it's a joke, right? And that's where we start, because it's one of our two basic childhood facts. 1 + 1 = 2, and the Earth is a globe. We're taught this before almost everything else, and that right there should give you a clue on how serious this secret is. But for those who have forgotten their history, here's the modified Men in Black version. For the first 4,000 years of our civilization, we believed that the Earth was a flattish disk, surrounded by a solid dome barrier called the firmament. All of the 5 major religions had their own version of this, and the churches enforced the belief. Then, around 1514, a man named Copernicus created a new model of the world. He stated that if the Earth was spinning around 1,100 miles an hour and circling the Sun at 60,000 miles an hour, the world was then round. And while the math more or less worked, there was a problem. It was 1500, and the technology to prove such a theory wasn't there. The first balloon to carry people wasn't invented until 1760. Sailboats were the only travel over water, and the fastest thing on land was a horse. But the new worldview was promoted and took hold. The religions adapted to handle the new reality, and life moved on. More importantly, the globe model was quickly introduced into the education systems. Over the next 500 years, the challenges to this model faded, to the point where the globe was accepted as universally as physical laws such as gravity. Read that again if you didn't absorb it. For 20 generations, people believed that the Earth was round because there was a globe in every classroom they sat in. There was no proof. Hundreds of years went by, and still civilization had no way of proving the theory. Planes were invented around 1900, but until 1957, nothing could go high enough to give a true perspective of where we lived. And that's when everything got strange. The United States and Russia both sent up rockets high enough to take decent pictures, and what they saw scared them a great deal. How do we know they were extremely concerned about the sky? Because the US and Russia immediately started firing nuclear weapons straight up, and they kept firing for the next 4 years. A few things to keep in mind here. First, this was now 1958. Nuclear weapons were very expensive and hard to come by. These also weren't those nominal yield 20 kiloton toys we used on Hiroshima. This was high kiloton to low megaton, and we couldn't get them up fast enough. And the strangeness continued in other places. In 1959, only a year into the atmosphere bombardment, 10 nations, including the United States, made Antarctica off-limits to any colonization. A treaty was put in place, and to this day remains intact. Over 50 nations now have signed off on this treaty.
places on the ocean's floor was only just discovered in the 1990s. I might agree as one of a handful of people to ever see it in person.
Without a doubt, one of the most amazing things that I have ever seen in the bottom of the ocean. And it was while filming for Blue Planet. It was in the Gulf of Mexico. And I noticed there's something out in the distance. Couldn't tell exactly what, but it looked like a dark band. And as we approached it, the dark band became a donut. I saw this donut that was black in the center. What the heck is that? And so, as we get closer and closer to it, I noticed that the black band had what appeared to be kind of steam over it. And then I looked, and there was water lapping against the shoreline. This band was a ring of mussels. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. We went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down it. We literally bounced off.
Fly those?
Absolutely. Do you get to fly to the edge?
Oh, yeah.
What's past there?
Don't know. We're not allowed to fly past that.
Let's go.
It's against the rules, Jonas.
Who are you?
The giver. When the elders need guidance, I provide wisdom using memories of the past. Our world was different. There was more.
More?
Much more. There is no way for me to prepare you for the truth.
cut my teeth on the back of an old church pew. I learned to walk in the ways of light and truth, and I was told not to speak till I was spoken to. I heard it preach what I should and I should not do, and the choir sang, tried to be a good boy, but I ain't a boy no more. I've seen some things that a man just can't ignore, and this world's gonna see what I'm standing for. I've kept my peace, but I can't hold my tongue anymore. You can't buy my silence, you can't steal my voice, you can't keep me quiet. I will break the noise. Try to beat me down, tell me to shut my mouth, but there's a time to speak, and the time is now.
Astronauts to the moon.
So if you take a look at the image on the screen now, you can click the link in the description and check out this for yourself. You can turn on, for instance, like I did, wind currents, wave currents, and then check out what they look like on the globe. So as you can see, they're kind of all over the place, going roundabouts for no reason in some regions. It doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to the path of the waves or the path of the wind currents. Doesn't make any sense with a spinning Earth. None of it seems to jive with what we see and perceive on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know about for you guys, but I don't have an agenda in all this like others. All I want is the truth, and it seems peculiar to me that there's so many things that can't be explained in the globe model. Yet when we turn it to the flat Earth model, all of a sudden these things are explained. You'll see on the screen now I'm just kind of showing some different configurations and then looking at the way the waves seem to not make any sense. Now you'll see that I flipped it to the azimuthal equidistant, or the flat Earth map, and now things seem to make perfect sense. So you can see everything flowing in a counterclockwise direction. You can see the in the middle that things change, and then also you can see where the blue is. This would represent the path of the moon and sun. So when we talk about the moon affecting the tides on Earth, this would be true in the flat Earth model, as the moon goes around and carries the water with it, kind of releases it as it gets further along its path, which by then it will have picked up new water, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is, if you go here and just play with some different things, look at the wind, look at the surface temperatures, you'll start to see that the system seems to make sense on the flat Earth, but does not on the globe. And these are the things I'm talking about, is why do all these things not jive with reality? Why are the moon phases, like the new moon that I showed earlier, not realistic? Look at this here. This shows the waves. You can see that the heaviest waves are right in the red region here, which would be right where the sun and moon are affecting the tides the most. The yellow and the green represent the medium waves, or the ones in the middle, and then the ones in the blue are the smallest waves, or the least active. So you see here you can switch it between the AE, which is the azimuthal equidistant, or the O, like, oh my god, I don't live there, or for the globe. You can bring that up. You can see on the screen now what made sense before doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense now. It might, until we decide that, well, the Earth is tilted and is spinning on its axis. And if that were the case with the tilt, we would see a much different pattern of heavy waves. For instance, the Earth is probably tilted about like that as it spins, and as we turn the colors back on, you'll be able to see that this doesn't make a lot of sense. As it's spinning, wouldn't this be different than shown? So I challenge you to go and check it out yourself and ask yourself all the questions I've been asking myself. And why does the spinning Earth make no sense? And why does gravity make no sense? And how am I supposed to believe in curved water when it makes no sense to me? And why do the time-lapse videos we see of stars make no sense per their model? So these are the kind of things that I ask myself that you need to be asking yourself. Why is it to me that living on a globe makes no sense? Does not jive with my my version of reality, where two people can be both right side up, but in reality one is upside down, but not really because of gravity. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Why do these wave currents make no sense on the globe? You know, that's a question you need to ask yourself. Why does relativity make no sense? We can measure how fast the Earth is going, and we can measure how fast the Sun is going, but only relative to each other. The fact that the Earth is also going 66,000 miles per hour around the Sun, we can't then say how fast the Moon is going in comparison with the Earth and the Sun, since it's all relative to your position. It just doesn't jive.
And I'm going to show you something else right here, live right here on the air. Okay, Apollo 17. This is NASA.gov, their website. It has all the different NASA missions. Now, this picture right here, Earth in full view, is from Apollo 17. It's the most famous of all the pictures of the Earth. This one right here, Apollo 17. They always have to show you Antarctica too, by the way. It's interesting. Most of the pictures of the Earth will try to get you to see Antarctica. Okay. Scientists on the moon. Click on this picture right here. Supposedly the same mission, same guys that took the picture of the most famous picture of our Earth. I'm going to do save image as, and let's see, Apollo Moon. Let's call it Apollo Moon 17. And I'm going to open that in Photoshop. And do you guys still see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to do a different screen share because it's on my other screen. Okay, just a second here. Hang on. I got two monitors, that's why. Okay, can you see? Oh, that's the same thing. Oh, hang on, sorry. Technical difficulties here. Here we go. Okay. All right, do you see Photoshop?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And if those of you think this technical difficulty was planned and think I'm scamming you, go do it for yourself. Because you're going to find the exact same thing. I got nothing to hide here. This is live on the air, okay? I'm going to zoom in on the Earth in Photoshop. You see the Earth?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go to Image, Adjust, Levels, and I'm going to bring the levels over here. And I'm going to bring the levels up. Uh-oh. What is that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. Why is there a square box around the Earth, allegedly taken from the scientists on the moon in Apollo 17? And people wonder why I don't trust NASA. That's why I don't trust NASA. I mean, they're always out there saying, you know, Rob, everybody's trying to show you stuff from space, and you keep rejecting it. This is why I reject it. These guys are liars. You know.
Yeah, and that's the same technique too that people will use to debunk UFO, pictures and stuff. So it's a legitimate, way to debunk things. That's really interesting.
It is, man. I mean, anybody who has Photoshop can just go to the NASA website, download the photo, do exactly what I did, see for yourself. Now, I think they've gotten better at some of them, where the masking that they're using is not as obvious or even not there at all. But this one clearly was a pasted something on a backdrop. But yet we're told that this is NASA on the moon. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And then when you look at all the other, so that calls in question the most famous picture, because it's the same people, Apollo 17, that took the most famous picture. Then you got other pictures like this, the blue marble, right, that come out. Okay, well, there's a big problem with the blue marble, and I'm going to zoom in here and show you what the problem is. These are all composite images where they are really not very good at Photoshop, because they're using the Photoshop clone tool to replicate clouds. This cloud is a copy of this cloud. See the formations? They're identical. Identical formations, side by side.
Wow.
Right? These right here, side by side, side by side. See this kind of W-looking shape right here, replicated right here. This cloud is exactly the same as that cloud. Same clouds right there, and same thing on the other side of the world. They got the same thing going on. They got careless. Here, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the same formations replicated right there. These two replicated, same exact formations right here. This right here is clone of that right there. I mean, really? So you're telling me that we could take pictures of Jupiter and Saturn, huge, massive planets, and now we're out going to Pluto, but we don't have one legitimate picture of the Earth from space that's not a composite? Really? This is where, okay, why, Rob, why are you looking into this? This is why. Because we're believing a bunch of Luciferian Nazis, and we're taking that over Scripture. Now, here's another one for you. I put the other screen on. Can you see this right here? The photo journal? Yeah. Okay. This is Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA, California Institute of Technology, right? They have this video right here. For some reason, every time I click on it on this particular computer, I'm not able to open it, but I embedded it on my blog. The exact same video is embedded in my blog off of YouTube. Somebody had taken it and made a YouTube out of it. Here are other blue marbles, okay, allegedly done by NASA. And if you don't believe me, here's the space.com website where I got the picture. Here's the nasa.gov website where I got this picture. Okay, they can't even get the scale right. Look how big the United States is in this one versus this one. Color's all off. I mean, so far all of these are crap. Here's that picture, that same video, okay, from Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now, this is allegedly from the space probe Galileo at 6:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on December 11th, 1990, when the spacecraft was about 1.3 million miles from the planet. Okay, first of all, you got a tiny probe 1.3 million miles away from the Earth, supposedly, that is keeping a perfectly steady shot of a spinning ball that's supposedly also moving at 67,000 miles around the sun in orbit. And yet it maintains a perfect synchronous shot of the Earth. But this is what really got me. Not a single cloud is changing in any way. This is 25-hour time-lapse video. Supposedly 25 hours of the Earth rotating. Not a single cloud is changing, morphing, moving, dissipating, arriving. Nothing.
Wow.
That's what I said. This is a load of crap. And you got a lot of the same cloud features too. You start noticing in a lot of pictures, they're using a cloud map on various software to generate these things. Okay, I could stand outside today, point my camera in the sky for 25 hours, and you're going to see all kinds of cloud formation changes. 25 hours, no clouds are moving? Sorry, I don't buy it.
But here's another one. This is as good as Aries failure, and this video right here shows, now I'm going to start it up now, so I'm going to let it go while I'm talking. And sorry this isn't very high definition, and I'm sorry that this goes off the screen at the top, but you can see the sun never actually sets. But what I want you to notice is that the cameraman who's taking this 24-hour video, he's turning to keep track of the sun. Okay, that's very important. He's turning to keep track of the sun. See the ground moving below? Okay, and the sun never does get below the horizon. Okay, and this proves that we do not move. It's simple, and it was right in front of us the whole time, and we missed it. And how did we miss this? I don't know. But like I said, somebody who I think is ingenious showed how this proves that we do not move here on the Earth. So that's enough of this. You can go look. There's a couple of videos like this. Some people, like I said, have tried to show that they were in Antarctica and there was ice on the ground or whatever, and they showed that the sun never set, but that's been disproven long ago. So let me stop that here and let me switch over so you can show your people proof that we do not move. And guys, if we don't move, we're not a globe, because then it doesn't work. Now I know this is poor animation and poor drawing. I apologize, but you'll be able to get the point, I think. All right, this is the Earth. All right, and I know it's not the scale, but it doesn't matter. The scale doesn't matter at all. Okay, so here's a person. They're above the Arctic Circle. This little red dot here, that represents the pole. Okay, what we are taught is that the Earth goes around counterclockwise once every 24 hours. Okay, so, and also we're told that if you are above, up here, above the Arctic Circle, and it is summer, for example, you will see the sun 24 hours. Okay, fine, good. We see the sun 24 hours a day, just like we saw in that video. Okay, I've asserted that we're not moving. How can we tell this? Okay, at 6 a.m., below this line here, okay, below the Arctic Circle, we can't see it, but below, okay, they're going to see sunrise and sunset. Okay, above it in the summer, we don't see it. What should we see? The observer looks out and sees the sun to their left. Okay, and it doesn't matter. We can pick different times. It doesn't matter, but this works. I think you'll find quite well. Okay, and I'll put the clock up on here shortly. So at 6 a.m. you're here. All right, and you're looking at the sun. Now what happens when it comes to 6 hours later? Okay, or actually at 6 p.m. you're going to rotate all the way around to here. Okay, 12 noon you're going to be in between, right? So, okay, the observer is looking to their left to see the sun. Got that? And the Earth is one that turns. Okay, now it's 12 noon. Okay, the observer sees the sun straight out. Okay, which means when the observer was down here, what happened? They were looking to their left, and now they're looking straight out. That means the sun has appeared to move to the right in the sky. Try to imagine that. Try to imagine what I'm saying there. Okay. Okay, now at 6 p.m., remember below this Arctic Circle, they're now seeing sunset. Okay, the sun is setting in the sky, correct? Everything looks good. All right, below the equator here, they would see sunset, correct? Below the equator here, below the Arctic Circle here, pardon me, you would see the sun directly overhead at noon. Now what has happened? The observer has to look to his right to see the sun. All righty. Are you starting to get this yet? Let's go another 3 hours up, all right? Midnight. The observer has rotated all the way around to here. And remember the last time the observer saw the sun to his right, okay? And now he's looking straight out again. So the sun would appear to move what? To his left, to go right back to being in the center again, to his viewpoint. All right, now let me put this in motion with the time, and you can see what I mean. Okay, let's watch it do its little thing. 6 a.m., noon, 6 p.m., midnight, back to 6 a.m. Now, isn't this what you would see above the Arctic Circle? If what you are on is turning, wherever you're standing, that under your feet, that ground is spinning with the Earth, okay? This is exactly what you would see. All right. the sun would zigzag, as the other guy says in his video, and that's exactly right. Not only that, but it would appear to get, when it gets to this point right here, okay, during these hours here, it would appear to move less angular per hour than it does out here. Sort of reminds me of the analemma, because out here you have a greater angular difference, okay, per degree as you change back to come back to here to where it's parallel. All right, then let me put the time in. Okay, this is much faster, but I think you get the idea here. The only thing I made a mistake on here, this should say 12 a.m. here, not p.m. All right, because that's midnight. Do you see how the sun would just zigzag back and forth? And as you got closer to the middle things, it would slow down. All right, it would slow down and then it would reverse its course back the other way. This is proof that the Earth does not move. Because what do we see? We see the sun going all the way around us. All right, which we saw in the video. I don't have to show an example of that because you saw that. The sun is the one that's moving around the Earth. This is proof. This is proof. Okay, if you can get this, and here's what the guy said, and I have to agree with him. If you can't imagine this, if you can't get this in your head, get yourself another hobby. Okay, because this, I think it's absolutely brilliant. It really is absolutely brilliant. So there you have it. I'll have the link to the video below. He also has another challenge for somebody. He threw down the gauntlet also, as far as measuring how far the sun is away. And unlike many other people who have given me links to a book about the analemma, they obviously didn't look at it before it makes you go crazy with the math. You find out when you read it carefully that he's basing everything on the speed up and slow down of the Earth. I'll cover this in a separate video. It just doesn't make any sense. He makes the math fit the model, is what he does. He goes out and finds a curve with a sine wave that fits the model and says that's it, but he doesn't tie that back to the sun at all and the Earth. He just shows that he can come up with a sine wave in nature that mimics it. Unbelievable. But anyway, here you go. We do not move. And I hope you get this. By the way, thank you, Randall, for sending me that video, and thanks for all the things you send me. And you know who you are. So what I'm going to do is show you what you actually did see in that video of the sun going around. Okay? What you saw was the Earth not moving, the Arctic Circle roughly in here, okay? And I'm going to grab this representation of the sun moving in its circle, its northernmost circle during the summer in the northern hemisphere. So you could see it all the time moving around, okay? This is exactly what you saw, okay? That's the only way to explain it, all right? That's the only way to explain it. Make sense? Hope so. Hope that makes sense. Okay, otherwise, see, I want you guys to get this. I'm showing it this way also. This is where I started out with the time lapse before. This is the best way I can show the sun up in the sky and you're at the Arctic. In a 24-hour period, this guy here, he's going to go around in a circle here. Alrighty. And he's going to view the sun, okay, as he's going around in the circle. And this thing here is what's going to happen is he's going to get this kind of a perspective. It's going to swing around like this. So the sun is going to go left and right, left and right. It's never going to go around in a circle. You're the one going around in a circle, according to science. Okay, imagine where the cursor is here, touching the Earth. That's the person. Okay, he's the one spinning around on the Earth, looking at the sun. Can you see how it would go left and then to his right, then to his left and to his right? It would zigzag back and forth. Okay. We don't move, people. We don't move. Here's the proof. Show it to anybody. Let them debug this one. Debug it. That's what it'll take. Some sort of error in a program to get this one wrong. Bye.
"200 Proofs Earth is not a Spinning Ball" by Eric Dubay. 1. The horizon always appears perfectly flat 360 degrees around the observer regardless of altitude. All amateur balloon, rocket, plane, and drone footage show a completely flat horizon over 20 plus miles high. Only NASA and other government space agencies show curvature in their fake CGI photos and videos. 2. The horizon always rises to the eye level of the observer as altitude is gained, so you never have to look down to see it. If Earth were in fact a globe, no matter how large, as you ascended, the horizon would stay fixed and the observer would have to tilt looking down further and further to see it. 3. The natural physics of water is to find and maintain its level. If Earth were a giant sphere tilted, wobbling, and hurtling through infinite space, then truly flat, consistently level surfaces would not exist here. But since Earth is in fact an extended flat plane, this fundamental physical property of fluids finding and remaining level is consistent with experience and common sense. 4. Rivers run down to sea level, finding the easiest course, north, south, east, west, and all other intermediary directions over the Earth at the same time. If Earth were truly a spinning ball, then many of these rivers would be impossibly flowing uphill. For example, the Mississippi, in its 3,000 miles, would have to ascend 11 miles before reaching the Gulf of Mexico. 5. One portion of the Nile River flows for 1,000 miles with a fall of only 1 foot. Parts of the West African Congo, according to the supposed inclination and movement of the ball Earth, would be sometimes running uphill and sometimes down. This would also be the case for the Parana, Paraguay, and other long rivers. 6. If Earth were a ball 25,000 miles in circumference, as NASA and modern astronomy claim, spherical trigonometry dictates the surface of all standing water must curve downward an easily measurable 8 inches per mile, multiplied by the square of the distance. This means, along a 6-mile channel of standing water, the Earth would dip 6 feet on either end from the central peak. Every time such experiments have been conducted, however, standing water has proven to be perfectly level. 7. Surveyors, engineers, and architects are never required to factor the supposed curvature of the Earth into their projects. Canals, railways, bridges, and tunnels, for example, are always cut and laid horizontally, often over hundreds of miles without any allowance for curvature. 8. The Suez Canal, connecting the Mediterranean with the Red Sea, is 100 miles long without any locks, making the water an uninterrupted continuation of the two seas. When constructed, the Earth's supposed curvature was not taken into account. It was dug along a horizontal datum line, 26 feet below sea level, passing through several lakes from one sea to the other, with the datum line and the water's surface running perfectly parallel over the 100 miles. 9. Engineer W. Winkler was published in the Earth Review regarding the Earth's supposed curvature, stating, "As an engineer of many years' standing, I saw that this absurd allowance is only permitted in school books. No engineer would dream of allowing anything of the kind. I have projected many miles of railways and many more of canals, and the allowance has not even been thought of, much less allowed for. This allowance for curvature means this, that it is 8 inches for the first mile of a canal and increasing at the ratio by the square of the distance in miles. Thus a small navigable canal for boats, say 30 miles long, will have, by the above rule, an allowance for curvature of 600 feet. Think of that, and then please credit engineers as not being quite such fools. Nothing of the sort is allowed. We no more think of allowing 600 feet for a line of 30 miles of railway or canal than of wasting our time trying to square the circle. 10. The London and Northwestern Railway forms a straight line 180 miles long between London and Liverpool. The railroad's highest point, midway at Birmingham Station, is only 240 feet above sea level. If the world were actually a globe, however, curving 8 inches per mile squared, the 180-mile stretch of rail would form an arc with the center point at Birmingham raised over a mile, a full 5,400 feet above London and Liverpool.
So when we're young, we're shown this image. There's a lot of molten lava in the middle of the Earth, but No one's ever drilled more than 8 miles down. Humans don't have the technology to do that. So you're looking at something you're never going to see. That's the power of image. It just goes right into the subconscious. This is quite interesting as well. So the Earth rotates 360 degrees every 24 hours. That's something everyone agrees with in the mainstream model, and that we go around the sun. If that was the case, 6 months later we'd be the other side of the sun and still rotating 360 degrees in 24 hours. Therefore, midday should be dark and midnight should be bright light. This again might need a little bit of thought and contemplation, but it can't really be argued with.
So, I'm pretty well versed in the conventional accepted model of our world since long before it was ever taught to me in a science class. So indeed, by the time the globe model was shoved down my throat in school, I was already sort of an expert on the subject. When my science teacher told me that our weight was caused by a column of air pushing down on me with whatever I happened to weigh on the scale, I asked my teacher, but
what about gravity? Isn't that also pushing down upon me too?
So I was told it was a stupid question and the air was pushing down on me because of gravity. And I just said,
oh, okay.
As if that answered the question. The globe model has now been irrefutably disproved with all of the verifiable evidence we can observe and scrutinize. Not one single bit of evidence supports the globe model, and all of the verifiable evidence proves that our world is definitely flat, definitely stationary, and the celestial bodies orbit the magnetic center, which is fixed upon our North Pole. It's simply impossible for anyone who has been indoctrinated into the programming to imagine our world as anything but a globe spinning around the sun. So until just a few months ago, you could have included me in that category along with everyone else. The difference between myself and an average person is the fact that I simply was compelled to look at the evidence, and really just for shits and giggles, certainly to disprove the flat earth and not to seriously entertain the idea. I thought I was bringing skeptical criticism to the topic, but instead I only brought falsehoods and programming which was literally drilled into my mind when I was about 4 years old. I've gone along with the conventional model ever since, and I still would to this day had it not been for sheer chance and the help of some of the flat earthers like Dubay, Boylan, Jeranism, Yoda's Conspiracy Channel, Stars or Souls, and many, many others. I couldn't even begin to name them.
Are you saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes. Look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The two land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Yes.
Here we have Europe, drawn considerably larger than South America. When it's 6.9 million square miles, South America is almost double the size of Europe's 3.8 million.
Alaska appears 3 times as large as Mexico, when Mexico is larger by 0.1 million square miles.
Germany appears in the middle of the map when it's in the northernmost quarter of the Earth.
Wait. Relative size is one thing, but you're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
Where is it?
I'm glad you asked.
What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time. Should we continue?
Uh-huh.
The world was flat as the brim of your hat, and that is very plain. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Oh, he's crazy man.
But wait, how? Yeah, but you can't do that. Why not? Because it's freaking me out.
Okay, so I've been just checking out flights around the southern hemisphere and just trying to hop from continent to continent and finding out just how ridiculous it is. So let's follow these planes and see if they can improve the plane. First, I'm starting in Australia, and I want to go from Sydney to Santiago, Chile, which Google Maps tells us is 7,000 miles. I've been using Fare Compare. Oops, wrong one. And you can use whatever you like. Just type in your to and from. Brings up all your flights, different carriers, and all your different scenarios here. So actually it looks like a lot of flights, but there's just 6 separate flights. And out of those, there's only one non-stop, there is one stop, and then the rest are all 2s and 3 stops. So we'll check out this one, or non-stop, and it says it is a 7,000 mile flight, 12 hours and 40 minutes from Sydney to Santiago, but I don't think this flight ever takes off. It's available only Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday also, to kind of pinch you out and make you do something different. This flight to from Auckland, it says it's one flight there, and then a non-stop from Auckland. I checked those out already as well. That would be a 6,000 mile flight in 9 hours, or I think it's 11 hours actually. Actually, we can look at it. Here it is right here. Yeah, it's 11 hours 20 minutes for 6,000 miles. But I don't think either one of these 2 flights are real. They're just kind of there to keep guys like me from figuring this shit out. Okay, so basically you can't do either one of these, which would only be 7,000 miles. Your next option doubles already. So you're looking at 13,000 to 15,700, and all of these flights up here are all going to United States airports. These are all United States airports. And then this YVR is Vancouver, Canada, and these are all Canadian airports. So basically, if you can't get one of these straight across flights, then your next options are either United States or Canada, which doesn't make any sense at all. And the time, holy cow, it goes from 33 hours to 55 hours, depending on what you end up with on these. So let's just take a look at the maps. I mapped these out, and look, it just looks ridiculous what you have to try and do. You can't just go straight across. You have to actually get up into the northern hemisphere and then come back down. So that doesn't make any sense. So I mapped it on the flat earth map, and whoa, okay, now it makes sense. This is Sydney, Australia on the flat earth map. So yeah, you would want to stop at Vancouver or San Francisco or LA on your way, because it is on the way.
Alright, so here you go. What is this? This is the picture of the Earth. I liked the first video. That was very great. The video just before there, it's like, what was that about, that video? Was it? That was about brainwashing. How do you brainwash? Well, you repeat it. You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, after 6 times, they'll incorporate it in their brain. They may not agree with it, but repeat it another 1,000 times, they'll start saying it. I could start a campaign called Wethatata for like fucking $4 billion this week. And in like 24 hours through Twitter, everybody could be walking around going Wethatata, Wethatata. Okay, so here's the picture of the Earth from space. There it is. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. You've never seen that with your eyes from that scale of a model, that point of view, from outside of the planet's surface. But yet your brain has three-dimensionalized, oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition. Next image. How do we get to this point of the image? This is fucking funny. I think this is funny. Next image. Well, here's the first image that sold the whole thing. As you can see, that's clearly the universe. I mean, that's clearly the universe. I swear to God. I mean, there's the sun. I mean, I could recognize that thing. It's a bullseye. It's like a planet. It's an egg. Whatever. But there you go. You got each rung, the whole thing. 1482. This is when they came up with this idea. We are on that thing. It's a ball. Hey, we should go to the North and the South Pole. We didn't do it yet. It's a fucking ball. Hey, nobody's even like jumped up high enough to see if it is a ball. We can't do that. We don't have planes yet. It's a ball. You know what? We adopted this whole model like 400 or 500 years before the airplane. 400 years before the airplane, pretty much. Like beginning of the 1900s. They went to the North Pole in the 1900s. This is 1482. Nobody went to the top of the globe, to the bottom, or flew up, or built a skyscraper. That's it. It's been a decade since like Columbus hit America. That's it. You had Spinoza, Leibniz, everybody was fighting to say what the fuck we were on, how much land there really was. Real estate, right? Real estate. The only commodity that appreciates besides art. Right? These are the only things that appreciate. They don't appreciate them except those two. It's funny when these two are going to meet and what I'm going to talk about. Next image. It's funny, but we said that this is what we're in right now. This is what we're on before any instrument approved. Until, pause. Can you do it? It's funny, back in the 60s when they went to the moon, this is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight to actually go high enough to actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. So if they were wrong after 500 years, the question is, would they tell you?